Russian drones have attacked Kharkiv again. Drone strikes were recorded in 3 districts of the city at once. It is known that 1 person was injured. A fire broke out in a private sector. A series of powerful explosions also rang out in downtown Zaporizhzhia. During the day, the occupiers shelled the regional center with rocket-launched Shaheds. At present, 7 people are known to have been injured. Among them is an 8-year-old child. Houses and cars in several districts of the city were damaged, and a historic building, the Kasin House, was also affected. Another drone crashed into the roof of a neighboring apartment building. The top floor there was burned out. 6,000 subscribers were left without power due to the Russian shelling of Chernihiv. The operation of the CHP plant has been suspended. The city is without hot water. Chernihiv was attacked by dozens of Russian drones. There were strikes on critical infrastructure. Last night, Russian forces launched a massive attack on the south of Odessa region as well. Port, transport, and residential infrastructure facilities were damaged. Fires broke out at several locations, including on the territory of the Danube Biosphere Reserve. Due to an FPV drone strike, 1 person was injured in Dobropilya Donetsk region. The enemy hit Sloviansk with a 1.5-ton aerial bomb and drones. About 24 apartment buildings and private houses were damaged in the city. An educational institution was also hit. The sound of explosions has been echoing throughout the morning in Dnipro. The city is under another drone attack. It is already known that several city residents have been injured, and more than 30 others remain in hospitals after previous strikes on the city. With more details, TSN correspondent Olha Pavlovska.
A crater near the sidewalk shattered windows in the surrounding apartment buildings. One of the Shaheds crashed right in a residential area of the city near a busy avenue. Since morning, Dnipro has been under a massive attack by strike drones, including jet-powered ones. He was on his way to work when an explosion went off nearby. Vakhtang was wounded in the face.
I was walking past the building and suddenly there were explosions. A piece of shrapnel hit me. I fell down and still some kind of blast wave hit here. They put in stitches and the shrapnel is still there.
And this is where a drone struck a transportation company. 5 trolleybuses were damaged. The maintenance workshop and contact supports were also destroyed. Rescuers have already extinguished the fire. Despite the attack, within a few hours, service on the routes was fully restored.
Yes, absolutely.
Explosion after explosion, air defenders were hunting enemy drones. Meanwhile, since morning, city residents have been recovering from the aftermath of the attacks.
Fear, of course, nervous stress. The heart, yes. Because when it exploded, I saw everything flying into the apartment. 3 windows shattered, all the glass inside, holes gaping, fresh air coming in. And this is how our brothers greet us.
One of the explosions woke up Mrs. Olga and her Ted. The little dog is still frightened.
The alarm clock and the explosion went off at the same time. He's restless, whining.
The number of injured has been rising since the morning. Most of them have shrapnel wounds and cuts. At the same time, more than 30 people wounded in previous attacks this week remain in hospitals.
The current medical condition of 4 patients remains extremely critical and life-threatening. They are currently breathing with the help of ventilators, and doctors are fighting tirelessly for their lives.
The aftermath of the massive attacks is still being dealt with in several districts of the city. Olha Pavlovska, Alexander Kulish, Dnipro, TSN 1+1.
The United States has warned of possible delays in arms deliveries to some European countries. Reuters reports this. Allegedly, Washington has already warned several European countries about delays in the delivery of contracted weapons. They explain this by the war in the Middle East, which is depleting American stockpiles. Among those who may not receive weapons on time are the Baltic and Northern European countries. This concerns various types of offensive and defensive ammunition. Officially, the United States has not commented on this. Meanwhile, a Washington Post columnist writes that Putin may attack Europe before his window of opportunity closes. As early as this spring, he may realize that his army is not achieving significant success in Ukraine and that the economy is declining. As a result, he may feel cornered and resort to a new aggressive attack before European countries are fully rearmed and before Ukraine develops new weapons capable of striking even deeper targets inside Russia. And there's another aspect, the presidency of Donald Trump, who is aggressively opposed to NATO. So Russia may attack a Baltic country to demonstrate that Article 5 of the alliance is actually dead, the commentator writes. Law enforcement is investigating the shooting at one of the schools in Zakarpattia as a terrorist act. The 15-year-old student told investigators that he was forced to commit the crime by people he met while playing an online game in one of the messengers. Otherwise, they threatened to harm his family. The day before, right during a lesson in the 9th grade, this teenager suddenly pulled out a pistol and started shooting. He wounded a classmate who was sitting in front of him. The bullet hit the shoulder. After committing the act, the shooter tried to escape, but the police apprehended him. An expert examination has already determined that the pistol was originally a blank firing gun, but had been modified to fire live ammunition. Investigators are still trying to determine where the teenager got the weapon and who may have forced him to commit the crime. And what are your theories about where the teenager could have gotten the weapon and who might have encouraged him to open fire? Be sure to write your thoughts in the comments under this broadcast on YouTube. Of course, give us a like and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. In the meantime, I will continue with the TCH online broadcast. An almost Hollywood-style robbery in Naples, Italy. Robbers broke into a bank in Naples and held 25 people hostage. Later, the criminals escaped through the sewers, having drilled a hole in the floor during the night, according to the Italian news agency La Presse. Some of the freed hostages told the police that the robbers were wearing masks depicting movie actors. Firefighters managed to break open the door of a car parked near the bank, which was allegedly used by the thieves. Forensic experts examined it, and later, special forces stormed the building, but the robbers were already gone. They had managed to escape in time. For overpaying more than 1 million hryvnias for vegetable slicers and chairs for school shelters, 7 years of imprisonment. But there is one nuance. The accused needs to be brought back from abroad. The Kyiv prosecutor's office proved in court that in 2023, an education official from one of the city's districts allowed the embezzlement of budget funds during procurement. The court found her guilty. This concerns Olha Drozdova, the former head of the Department of Education of the Dnipro District State Administration. Prosecutors found that overpayments in contract agreements amounted to more than 460,000 hryvnias for vegetable slices and nearly 1,350,000 for the purchase of chairs. The scandal erupted in 2023. Activists noticed strange items in the procurement for shelters, kitchen equipment, chairs, and even drums. At the time, in an interview with TSN, Drozdova explained that they wanted to purchase those same vegetable slicers even before the full-scale invasion. However, Hromadsky pointed out that any purchases for shelters are made through a simplified procedure and questioned the cost of the items bought. As a result, the prosecutor's office launched an investigation and uncovered embezzlement. In addition to a prison sentence, the official was sentenced to confiscation of property and banned from holding office for 3 years. However, she is currently in Turkey undergoing medical treatment. She communicated with the court via video conference. Once the verdict comes into force, prosecutors will demand the defendant's return. She nearly ran over the police officers and later got into another accident. In Cherkasy, the police received a report that a car was making dangerous maneuvers on the road. They stopped the car with a damaged rear bumper on one of the streets. The police suspected that the driver was under the influence. They offered her to undergo an examination, but the woman refused and then drove off, nearly hitting a patrol officer. While fleeing, the driver got into an accident, hit a curb, and smashed the front bumper as well. Police say that when they pulled the woman out of the car, she was swearing profusely. There is suspicion that on the same day, the driver may have been involved in another traffic accident. The woman was charged with drunk driving, hooliganism, and causing a traffic accident. Art that unites fighters of the past and the present. At the Zaporizhzhia Sich, for the 4th anniversary of the creation of the 65th Brigade Veliki Luh, a series of posters by renowned artists Nikita Chitov and Andriy Yermolenko was presented. A special font was developed by Bohdan Brinsky. The series consists of 18 works combining Cossack artifacts with modern equipment. The 65th Brigade has been defending the Zaporizhzhia direction since the beginning of the full-scale war. Its fighters took part in the liberation of Robotyne, for which they received the honorary name Veliki Luh. The warriors are convinced this exhibition not only unites two eras, but also demonstrates the strength of the Cossack spirit in modern Ukraine. The artists produced only 10 copies of each poster. The works can be purchased on the brigade's pages.
This kind of exhibition is just the first sign, which will start to tell society within the country that we are not just here fulfilling some duty, that we are not just mobilized, but that today we truly stand as a shield between Asia and Europe. Today we are defending those values that in principle the entire civilized world upholds. And it is precisely these values that are embodied here in these posters.
I received the joyful news about my brother's release from captivity while I was filming a recipe for Easter bread for my followers. Blogger Helena shared a video showing her reaction to the news about the release of a loved one. She explains she hadn't baked Easter bread since 2022 when her brother ended up in captivity just before Easter. But for some reason, this year she decided to bake the festive bread after all. And just as she was kneading the dough, she received the most long-awaited news. In the video, the girl is both laughing and crying with happiness. Helena wrapped the best Easter bread for her brother, who had been in captivity for 4 years. The pre-Easter prisoner exchange took place on April 11th. 175 of our defenders and 7 civilian prisoners of the Kremlin returned home to Ukraine.